Hi, and welcome to Digital Making at Home from the Raspberry Pi Foundation. My name is Mark, this is my son Jimmy.
Hello!
And today we are going to be coding a project along the theme of Make It Move. If you want to check out any of our other videos, my mate Mark is doing the Catch the Dots project, which is a little game with a sprite that you spin around to catch different dots of different colours. My mate Christina, she's going to be making a project called Tech Toys, where you have characters like spinning bow ties and flying helicopters. And what Jimmy and I are going to be coding today is Snowball Fight, which is going to be a little game where you throw a snowball and try and hit some poor animal. I feel a bit sorry for the animal. We're going for a bear in this one. We're going to be trying to throw snowballs at a bear. So we're going to get started. The first thing you want to do is you want to open up your web browser. So I'm just going to do that now. And I'm going to open up my web browser and we're going to go to rpf.io/dm-snowball. And that's going to take you to the project site where you've got all the instructions for this project, and down on the left hand side there Jim is showing you all the different instructions for this project. You can follow along with us in this video and code this game with us, or if you wanted you could just load this up and you could follow the instructions down the left hand side. There's also a demonstration of how the game works, so you can see here that Jimmy's got the ability to aim a snowball and then hold down the mouse button to give it a certain amount of power and then try and throw that snowball to hit the moose, and it says you got me when the snowball hits it. So we're going to make a variation of this game. It's not going to be quite the same as this one. We're going to make a little bit of variation, a few changes a little bit different to the project site. Right then, so we get started?
Yep.
So up in the URL bar we're going to go to the starter project where the sprite's already loaded for us. That's rpf.io/dm-snowball-starter. And that will take you to the Scratch online environment. It'll slowly load the project up. Now if you do have a Scratch account, make sure you're logged in. Like you can see over there on the right hand side, Jimmy's logged in to Scratch. If you don't have an account, then please do create one. And then once you're logged in, you can remix the project. Do you want to just hit that remix button, Jimmy? And there we go. Now Jimmy's got his own variation of this project and he's able to give it his own name. Hit the thing with the thing. Hit the thing with the thing. That's a very imaginative name. There we go. All right then. So if we just show everyone at home what the costumes we've got on that current sprite is. We've got that snowball sprite down at the bottom. Do you want to show them the costumes?
So up here at the top left we have code, costumes and sounds. You could implement that sound if you wanted to. We're not going to. Today we're just working with costumes. So we have the snowball aim, which when I zoom out, that's zooming in, but when I zoom out, wherever these red rectangles are, that's where we'll be aiming towards. So you can see right now it's just aiming at a 45-degree angle. And then we have the actual just snowball for when it's going to be flying. So yeah.
Brilliant. All right then, so you're messing around with the coordinates of the snowball there.
Yes,
so maybe the first thing we should do is try and set those coordinates of the snowballs. Do you want to get into the code? So the first thing we want to do is let's make sure that snowball's always in that current position and always has that, to start off with, that snowball aim costume, shall we?
So we're going to start with the when green flag clicked, and I'm going to zoom in so you can see it a bit better.
Bit more. Just one more. That's it.
So we're going to start off with a when green flag clicked, and now we're going to go up to motion. We found this from events, and everything's color coded for you. We're going to go to motion here, and we're just going to grab this go to. Now these coordinates are going to be wherever the snowball is currently. So if I did move it over to 24 minus 129, you can see now that this is 24 minus 129. But where I wanted it originally was minus 200 minus 150. So when I click on this, when I go over to there, or when I click the green flag, which is how we're actually going to start the project, I can go over to there.
Cool. And I want the snowball aim costume.
Okay, yep, so we can go into looks here. And we're going to grab the switch costume to snowball aim. And we want this to basically happen forever. So we're just going to put a forever loop around both of those. And now I could try and move this wherever I want. It would just go back to where it was originally. And as you can see, even if I switch the costume, it just won't change.
Brilliant. Okay then, so we've got that. The game's now set up for its initial state. The snowball's in the right place and we're in the right costume to begin. Now, on the demo, wherever you move the mouse pointer, yeah, that's where the snowball aimed. And it seemed to happen, it started once you held the mouse button down, didn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So how do we do that?
So we're going to go over to control. And we're going to grab this thing called a repeat until loop. And it's the same as a forever loop. You can tell it's a loop because it's got this little white arrow at the bottom that says, whenever you're at the bottom of the code, go back to the top. And we're just going to put this inside of our forever loop. Now we're going to go into sensing and we're going to grab a mouse down question mark. And basically, whenever we now click the left button on our mouse, it will repeat whatever's in the repeat until loop.
So it will repeat it until you click the mouse button, won't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's gonna. So once you click the mouse button, it'll stop aiming. Now is the idea. So that was my fault. I gave you the wrong instructions.
All right. Okay.
But you've done it correct anyway because you're better at Scratch than me. So here we go. So we've got repeat until the mouse down, and then what do we put in next?
So we're going to go right up to the top, and in motion, we're going to grab a point towards mouse pointer, and we'll just put that in. And now you can see wherever we aim, it will follow us. And now if I hold down the left click button, which is what we're going to use to charge up our power, it will stop following. So we'll aim like so, and then we'll click to charge up our power. But we don't have power yet, so we need to create that.
Okay then, so we had in the game, you had the ability to throw snowball with different amounts of power. So we need to implement that next. So how do we get that power thing in here?
So we're going to go down here to the bottom where it says variables and my blocks. And in my blocks you can create different blocks by compiling them into one. But right now we just want a variable. So we have the option to make a list or make a variable in the variables tab. We don't want to make a list, we want to create a variable. And I'm going to call my variable power. I'll hit OK. And now we have a bunch of blocks that all control power.
Cool.
So I'm just going to get rid of these because we don't actually need them. The only one we need right now is set power to 0.
So we're going to put that at
the top of the forever loop.
Okay, good. All right then. So when the forever loop starts, it's going to set the power to 0.
Yeah.
And now it was when you held the mouse button down. While you held the mouse button down, that was right, wasn't it? The power increases. So we want to now have some sort of loop that says until the mouse button isn't held down, can you increase the power?
Yeah.
Yeah? So how do I do that? How do I repeat until the mouse button isn't held down?
Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to go over to control and we're going to grab another repeat until. And we'll just put this underneath our mouse down. And now we're going to do almost exactly the same. We can just drag a mouse down into there. But we want it to repeat until the mouse isn't down. So we're going to go over to operators, which is green. And we're going to grab not, if I can find it. Here we go, it's green. And you'll see that these are the same shapes. They're hexagonal. And that means that they can fit into these hexagonal kind of sockets. And so what we're going to do is we're going to put mouse down inside the not. And then we're going to put the not inside the repeat until. And now we're going to go over to variables and we're going to grab change power by 1.
Brilliant. So we've got now, at the start of the game, when you don't touch the mouse, you can drag around and it follows the mouse, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And then, go on, move it around so it follows the mouse. Start again. Oh, there we go. And then when you click the mouse down, the variable starts increasing, yeah? But that's increasing really quickly, isn't it?
Yeah, it's every click I get about 25,000.
Yeah, because computers go really quick. Computers can count really fast. That's basically what's good about computers, is just their ability to count so quickly. And that's what Scratch is doing here. So we need to slow down that counting a little bit. So how can we slow down the rate at which that variable increases?
So we're going to say to the computer, every time you count, just wait a minute, or wait, to be exact. Not 1 minute. But to be exact, we're going to grab a wait from the top of control and we're going to change that to 0.1 seconds. So now what we're saying to the computer is change power by 1, wait 1/10 of a second, and then change it by 1 again. Cool. So now, if I hold down, you can see it takes about 1 second to get to 10 and 2 seconds to get to 20, which is going to be our max, but right now, you can see we're able to go up very far.
We'll handle that in a little bit. Let's let's make the snowball move by the amount of power now, okay?
Yeah.
So what we want to do is, we could carry on extending this script, couldn't we? And making it bigger and bigger and bigger. But it's sometimes quite nice in Scratch to start breaking things up into separate blocks. So what we should do is probably have a broadcast and wait at the bottom of here.
So
if
we'll go into events, and right at the bottom we're going to grab a broadcast and wait. We're going to put that underneath the repeat until. And at this part where it says message 1, we're just going to hit new message. And I'm going to call this throw. Oh, sorry about my horrible typing. I'm going to call that throw, and we're just going to put it up there.
Cool.
Okay.
So that broadcast and wait is great, because what it's going to do is it's going to halt our forever loop. So when it gets down to broadcast and wait, it'll halt that forever loop, and then that will allow us to run a second script. And once that script's finished, our forever loop can continue going on again. So that second script, we want it to move. We want it to do a sort of we want it to move the snowball sprites, don't we?
Yeah.
So let's go when I receive throw then.
Okay, so I'll grab a when I receive throw.
All right, and then let's do. So I want the snowball to keep flying until it hits the edge of the screen.
So now I'm going to go into motion. I'm going to grab a move 10 steps, and this will move forwards in whatever direction it's pointing in. And we want this move 10 steps to be the same as the power, so we can go down to variables here, and we can grab power. I'm just going to put that into move 10 steps. And in order to actually visualize power, you can right click on it in the stage. There's normal readout, large readout, but we're going to select slider. So now you can select your power from here. And when we finish the project, we're only going to make it go up to a max of 20. So what we do is we right click on it, change slider range, we'll make the maximum value 20. So there we go.
Okay, so let's click the green flag and just see what happens at the moment. So hold it down.
So I change up my power, and then
so it's moving, and it's just jumping straight back here again. So we want that movement to happen until it hits the edge of the screen.
Yeah. So what we're going to say is we're going to repeat this move forever.
Or until it hits the edge of the screen.
Right, so we're actually going to grab a repeat until. And then we're going to go down to sensing, and we'll grab this touching mouse pointer. And we're just going to click on mouse pointer here, and we can change that to edge, and that means any edge of the screen. So now, if we begin the project, charge up the power, and it shoots forward until it hits the edge of the screen.
Brilliant.
And right now, it's not really a snowball with physics.
Okay then, so at the moment no, it's not snowball of physics. We'll fix that in a second. So at the moment, I know you've limited the slider range.
But we can still keep going up if we just hold down our left click, because code can go past the slider range.
Right.
So if I set that to, I'm going to wait for it to get to 100, but there we go, 99.
Yeah, so that's a snowball travelling at light speed, which would be impressive in a snowball fight, but we don't want it for the game, do we?
No, it would just shoot up and never come back down.
So what I want is that if I'd like it in that repeat until not mouse down section. When it's increasing the power, I'd only like it to increase the power if the power is lower than 20. If the power is higher than 20, it shouldn't do it. So if the power is lower than 20, it should be able to increase the power. So what can we do for that?
So what we're going to do is we're going to grab an if statement, and we're going to take this change power and wait. I'm going to put that inside the if statement, and I'm going to put the if statement inside the repeat until. And now we're going to go over to operators, and we're going to say, so if the power is less than 20, we can up it. So we're going to grab a less than symbol. And you know it's less than because the arrow is pointing backwards, not forwards. I'm going to say less than 20. And then we can go down to variables, we can grab power, we can put that in the first part. And now, when we try to go above 20, so it should take about 2 seconds. And there we go, we can't go above 20,
Brilliant.
Which means that we're staying at a fixed speed.
Excellent. All right, so we've got a sensible power range now. Now, you mentioned physics, okay?
Yeah.
So let's talk about the physics of a snowball. So snowball has some forces acting on it when you throw it. What are the forces, or a couple of the forces?
So the two main forces acting on a snowball is air resistance and gravity.
Good. So air resistance would stop the snowball, would slow the snowball in the direction of its travel, yeah?
Yeah.
And we know the speed because it's that power setting we had. So what we want really is we want to decrease the amount of power on the snowball as it starts flying. So it's going to start with whatever we set it, but we want that variable to decrease, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
So how can I have it so that once the snowball starts flying, its power gets decreased?
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go into motion here. No, we're not. Sorry, I messed up there. We're going to grab
Variables.
We're gonna go into variables, and we're gonna grab a change power by, and we're gonna set this to something quite small, like minus 0.25.
Cool. So that's because it's minus. That's reducing the variable,
Yeah.
isn't it? So let's
Yeah, it needs to be minus.
see what that does.
So now, when I begin, I can charge it up, and as you can see, it will start going into the minus, and it just falls backwards.
Right. So it's suddenly getting a negative power, isn't it? Because it's gone up to high power and then it's getting a negative power. So we want to stop the power going negative. I don't want the power to be able to get less than 0. It wants to 0 is the minimum power it should ever have. So how can I make sure that change power by only happens if the power is greater than 0?
So what we're going to do is we're going to go into control, and we're going to grab an if, and we'll go back into variables, and we'll say we're going to grab a power, and we're going to operators, and now we're going to grab a more than, and you know it's more than because the arrow is pointing forwards. I'm going to put power into the first one. I'm going to say if the power is more than 0, change power by minus 25. So if it's not more than 0, if it has gone into the minus numbers, it will no longer change power.
Alright, let's have a go at that.
So now we can charge it up, and it'll do that, and now it'll just freeze.
Excellent. Right, so that's air resistance taken care of. Now we want to add in some gravity. So which way does gravity pull an object?
So gravity on Earth pulls objects down.
I think...
So on every planet it pulls objects down. In space there is no gravity, so you don't get pulled down.
Yeah, so gravity's going to act downwards, and in Scratch we have like the X coordinate. I've talked about this before in a video. So we've got X coordinate, which is left and right, and we've got the Y coordinate, which is up and down. So if we want something to move downwards, we need to give it a negative Y value in terms of its motion. It wants to have a negative Y value to point downwards. So can we do that to this snowball so that it moves down a little bit every time?
Yep, so what we're going to do is we're going to grab a change Y by, and we're just going to put that underneath the move, and I'll set this to something like minus 3. So now we're constantly losing. Our Y coordinate is now constantly going down, so we can start going up and then it just curves.
That looks much better.
And now also you can still kind of aim, or you can't aim, but you still have the aiming sprite when it's being thrown.
Yeah.
So we can change this by going into looks, switch costume to, and then we're going to set that to snowball, and we'll put that up here at the when I receive throw at the very start. And now it turns into a regular snowball. And we don't really have a proper curve. I don't know the name for that. What is it?
It's called a parabola. So it's not a proper curve like you would see an actual like snowball. It's not the proper arc that a snowball would do. But for us and for the ease of simple maths, it sort of works for this project, doesn't it?
Yeah.
We could do a more complicated version, and you could quite easily go and have a look at some other example Scratch projects where people have got realistic like cannonball motion and stuff like that. But we're going to stick with just changing that Y for now. Brilliant. So we've got a snowball, we've got ability to aim, we've got the ability to throw it. We need something to throw it at now, don't we?
Yep. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move our webcam a bit. I'll move it to here. So here at the bottom right, you can see we have the little cat icon. Where's my mouse? We have this little cat icon with a choose a sprite. I'm going to hit the magnifying glass, so choose a sprite. And we're going to just attack a bear with a snowball. And the bear's a bit big. That might be good for you if you're bad, but I am a professional. So I'll set this to 50. I am definitely good. And we'll just put in the bear like here.
Okay, so we've got our bear in our project now. Can I just move our webcam back down now? Because I know how to add a sprite now, so I'll just move our webcam back down so it's off the stage. Brilliant. Right then, so when the bear gets hit by the snowball, what should happen?
The bear should say ow.
Let's do it. Let's go.
So we're going to start off by going to events, grabbing a...
Yep, when clicked.
When green flag clicked. And we're going to go down to control, and we're gonna make the bear check constantly for if a snowball's attacking it. Or hitting it. So we're going to grab an if statement, and we're going to go into sensing, and we're going to grab touching mouse pointer, and this time we're not going to change it to edge, we're going to change it to snowball. So if touching snowball, and then we're going to go up here to looks, and we're going to say ouch for 2 seconds.
Alright, let's give it a go.
So now, power up the snowball, attack the bear, and it goes ouch. So, if I hit it...
No.
I'm not very good at this game.
I've only done it about 30 times.
If I hit it... See, first try.
So at the moment, what I can do is I can, if I just take over, I can hit the green flag and I can just power it straight at the bear, yeah, every time. And it's really easy for me to be able to win this game. So what might be better is an obstacle in there so that I have to, I'm really bad at this game. Yes.
Headshot.
Okay, there we go. So we want an obstacle so that I'm going to force the player to throw in an arc, yeah? So how do I add in an obstacle?
So we're going to do the same make a sprite thing that we did earlier, and we've now opened up the choose a sprite, and we could make the obstacle a tree. We're not good enough to do that, we can't aim over a tree, so we're just going to pick some rocks, and here we go, we'll just have a couple rocks there. And so we've now got these rocks, and now what we want is whenever the snowball, so we're going to go back to the snowball script here, rezoom in. Whenever the snowball hits the rocks, we want it to restart, just like when it touches the edge.
Good, so I want to be able to have the equivalent of that repeat until touching edge, but I also want it when it's touching the rock, yeah?
Yeah. So what we're going to grab is we're going to go here to operators, we're going to grab an or boolean, we're going to put touching edge inside, and what we're going to do is we're going to grab another touching mouse pointer and we're going to change that to rocks.
Brilliant. So booleans allow us to test for multiple conditions. So we've already used one, which was that not, and that just simply says do the opposite, yeah? But we've also got another two booleans, which are operators, which are and or. So an and tests for two conditions. As if both conditions, like if it's touching this and it's touching this, then do something. And the or is if it's touching something or touching something else, do something. So now, if we try and just power into the rocks.
So I'll charge that up to 20 and I'll just shoot.
So it automatically stops, yeah? But the rocks, and we have to try and go over the rock. I think you're going to get it.
There we go.
There we go. All right then. So the last thing is that as long as you keep your mouse pointer still and go to the same power every time, you're automatically going to hit the bear, yeah?
Yeah.
So let's make the bear change position.
That was a bit far. I went one too far.
So let's make the bear jump around the screen a little bit. So I think what we need to start off with is probably another broadcast to say to the bear that we're doing a new snowball. Yeah?
So we're going to go over to events. We're going to grab broadcast throw. I'm going to change throw to new message and we're going to say new throw.
Brilliant.
Grab that. We're going to put that at the top of the forever loop. Broadcast new throw. And now in the bear, we're going to grab a when I receive new throw. And we want to tell the bear to go anywhere between what looks like y minus 135. So I'll go to y minus 135. So anywhere between the rock, which is x25. We can see the coordinates right underneath the stage. So x25. And so anywhere between 25 and 185.
Right, and we want that to be random, don't we?
Yeah, so what we can do is we can go into operators, grab this pick random, and we're going to say 25 and 185. And now we're just going to put that in the X part. And there we go. And now, whenever it receives the new throw, we can mess up quite a lot. And it will switch its position.
Slider, yeah.
There we go. So I'm just gonna move the rocks a bit. I'll move those out of the way. When we hit the bear, eventually we will, I believe.
I don't think we will.
When we hit the bear, it will now change its position to another random position, so we can't just keep hitting it in the same spot all the time. Oh, there we go. I did it without cheating.
All right. Let's add a backdrop in, and I think we're finished.
So we're gonna go down to next to where choose a costume is. There's choose a backdrop. I'm gonna choose a backdrop, and we can go for the Arctic because it's a bear. You could have used a polar bear maybe. There's slopes. There's winter, which might be quite good. But I have my heart set on mountain, so I'm just gonna click on it, and that will automatically set our backdrop to mountain.
Excellent.
And now I'm just gonna move this power down here to make it. Oh. I'm going to zoom out, then I'm going to move the power down here to make it look a bit more friendly. And now I can start playing the game.
Absolutely fantastic. So that is our finished game. What you could do, there's lots of variations you could do on this. So you could do things like you could have the bear automatically move back and forward, maybe along the screen. So bear moves left and right. So it gives you a moving target. You can play around with different sizes of the bear or different sizes of the rock. You could add in the facility for the game to only allow you to throw 10 snowballs maybe. And then it adds up each time you hit to give you a score at the end. There's plenty of opportunities to play around with that. What I would like you to do is, if you create your own version of this, if you're messing around with it, you play around with it, you just want to share with us what you've done, okay? I would love for you all to share that with us at rpf.io/home. And then we can see your work, we can have a look at what you've done, we can comment on it. Sometimes we even tweet out what people have done or post what people have done on our blog so that everyone else can share in your lovely work. That's it from us today. Don't forget to share at rpf.io/home. We're going to head off now. So I'll say goodbye. And Jimmy, say goodbye.
Bye.
And we'll see you all next week for another Digital Making at Home session. Thank you very much.